This is Bless Radio. It's Tuesday evening and it's 6 p.m. UK time. I am Saad in southeast London and with me is Gregory. Gregory, how are you and how is the weather where you are?
One is fine. You don't need to ask about the weather because you know it's hot, hot, hot.
Exactly. Same here in London, hot, 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 as you say. This is the listeners, dear listeners, this is a spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushing. And every week we have a new topic for discussion. The topic tonight is Adjust Yourselves Aright to the Divine Laws. Adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the home page, you will see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Uprushing is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the reader is brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Uprushing. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail Message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. the word of the Grail Message lives, so that it permits only those people who carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace, if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic that we are discussing tonight is adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. Adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. And there's another way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the home page, you will see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in your questions or comments. Gregory, as you know, and listeners also, you know that I always like to look up the meaning of the words in the topic, which again is adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. So the first word there is adjust. So Gregory, I've got 2 meanings there in the dictionary. The first one, this is the meaning of adjust: alter or move something slightly in order to achieve the desired fit, appearance, or result. What do you say about this meaning, Gregory, in regards to our discussion for tonight?
Well, thanks. The keyword alter says it all. So it points to the right direction.
Okay, very good. The next one, it says, for the meaning for the word adjust again, assess, in brackets, loss or damages when settling an insurance claim. I think that one is a very specific meaning. So, Gregory, I don't think that's too helpful for us. Am I right?
Yeah, correct.
Thank you for that. Okay, let's continue. The next one, the word is yourselves, but I think we know what that means as human beings. So I move on to the next one after that, which is aright. So aright, the meaning in the dictionary, it says correctly, properly. So anything to say on that there, Gregory?
Again, correctly and properly are pointing along the right direction. So it will be helpful in the discussions.
Very good. So we continue. The next key word is divine. And there it says of or like God. That's with a capital G. And then it says or a God, which is a little g. So, and the given example, heroes with divine powers. Yeah, what do you say about this one, Gregory?
That presents a very false picture, therefore a false conception of what divinity is. Because one will now say, what are the features which have not been discussed at all?
Okay, since it is so wrong, Gregory, could you give us a help with what would be the right way, the meaning for divine?
To do that, one needs to look at the concepts very carefully. For divinity already existed before creation came into existence. Divinity has always been there. Therefore, it would be right to say that these laws through which power streams into creation, which creation was not there initially. It is these laws that have always been there, everlasting, that appertains to where power issues from. That is what divinity represents.
Okay, so what about where does God come in there? Is that involved or not?
For one who reasons aright, it is said from where power issues. Where does power issue in divinity? That gives a pointer. For concepts or pictures painted are pointers. So these answers are given as pointers that will permit the individual who is listening to focus on that direction. In that case, that self-exertion immediately, if looked on rightly, produces the desired results.
Thank you for that. And the next word there in the topic is laws. And again, in the dictionary, it gives me this, the system of rules which a particular country or community recognizes as regulating the actions of its members, and which it may enforce by the imposition of penalties. I can see this is a human system definition. I don't know how if it is relevant for divine laws as we are talking here, Gregory.
What is nearest again to it is the word regulation. So one may take the expression divine regulation, which regulation has always been there. And subsequently, many in their activities strive to emulate, although they may not understand what these divine laws are.
Right. So yes, thank you for that. So we will continue our discussions, and things should hopefully will become clear about these divine laws. Now, just to repeat the topic again, it is adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. And this is, of course, referring to when we say adjust yourself as human beings. Now, what comes in my mind, Gregory, we human beings are living on this earth. So now, and then there's other, let's say, beings or creatures also with us on this earth. For example, animals. And then I was thinking, this is to do with nature. The animals live in, I would say, in harmony or in accordance with nature. And I was thinking, we humans also, in theory, you'd expect us to also live in harmony with nature. But going back to the main the topic, it says, adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. So looking at animals as in quotes, as an example or something to observe, they seem to be living, as I say, in harmony with nature, the way they can. And then, as I said, the obvious thing to think is, well, we humans also should be doing that. So the question is, what is it that we are supposed to sort of, how we should be acting? So I'm thinking on this earth, Like example, animals are looking for food, home, and ensuring the next generation continues using their natural abilities and abilities and senses. So, just to be clear, Gregory, does this apply to us human beings the same way? Yeah, does it apply to us as well?
First, the expression itself, to alter, to adjust. This expression is directed to yourselves. Yourselves primarily is referring to the inner core of man, which is of spirit, which means here that your activities, your spiritual, in the first instance, your spiritual activities should be adjusted in such a way that it will resonate with the laws, which divine laws were there first, and the human personality came into existence only through the divine laws in creation. So in all naturalness, it's asking the human personality, which is of spirit, to adjust itself. So it's directed to the inner core of man in the first place.
Thank you so much for that answer and clarification there, Gregory. It's directed to man himself, as you say, which is a spirit. And I'm not sure how many people are really aware that we human beings are a spirit, because some people might think, the way I started, it looks like our life is on the earth, and just like in quotes the animals, we're trying to survive or live on this earth. But you have pointed out that actually we are a spirit. So for me, now that means, you're also sort of hinting that that is a different from animal, even though we haven't declared that, but I think that's what you're hinting. This is about us human beings, yourself, as a spirit. So then automatic question from that is, what is let me just say that. What's the difference between animal and spirit or human?
The animal itself has a core that controls it, whereas the inner core of man is of spirit. The inner core of the animal is a soul. And these are two different things. The inner core of man, which is of spirit, which spirit has the free will to make decisions spiritually. Because the spirit has the free will to make decisions spiritually, therein arise the intrinsic responsibilities which are tied to it because of that feature which the spirit has. Therefore, you may say there is accountability for the human personality that is maturing. You wouldn't say to an ant to account for its activities, or nor will you say to worms or to flies to account for their activities. That will never occur to any personality to hold a fly or worms to account. But for a human personality, which is of spirit, you hold them into account, first spiritually.
Thank you very much for this again answer and the picture you're showing us. I want to expand more on this. What is the spirit really? You can see some differences. That's my question already between animal and spirit, human. Um, and you've given this example of responsibility or accountability. Okay, so we have to, human beings have to have accountability. And that does sound very, how can I say, relevant with the concerning that there are divine laws. So it's like we have to obey these divine laws. Although, yeah, as human beings. Um, okay, and so that means yes, there's accountability and responsibility. Mm. So Gregory, that means it looks like we are different from animals. We said that, but also the role of the human is different from the animal. So I would like to know uh, what is this role? Are we the master creatures of the earth, the human beings? Yeah, what is the role for the human being, the spirit?
Basically, in response to that first question, where it is pointed out that there are responsibilities, one can already have a picture, which picture depicts very clearly what responsibility entails. For when one considers the animals, like you said, who go about searching for food, for sustenance, that already points to a direction that they search for food, for sustenance. With the human personalities, there is also a search. That search is that of power for continuous existence. Not only the search for power, but also the search to understand aright these laws through which the human spirit gem, came into existence. So, on the one hand, you have the animal searching for food, for sustenance, continuity. On the other hand, you have the human personality that is searching for the source of all power and searching at the same time to understand the laws, which are now referred to as the divine laws, through which it came into existence. At the peak, when it understands aright these divine laws, when it's able to make them its own, in that case, it will be it has received, it has matured to such an extent where it becomes self-conscious of its responsibilities. With the realization of self-consciousness, that means with the realization of what its responsibilities should be in the right way, that he himself has received of the blessings that streams out from the power in creation, from out of divinity, having received this for sustenance, it must make use of it and subsequently pass it on to others who, like him, have been searching or have been striving in such a way as to understand the demands of these divine laws aright. So you have, in the case of self-maturity in the sense that it is the spirit that matures, that had set out first as an unconscious spirit spark, and in moving out of its initial domain, it needed to go somewhere else where the movement is slower. It needed to go somewhere else where it is cooler to experience. In that process, it becomes conscious of its environment. And as it proceeds further, it becomes self-conscious. That means the spirit is now astir in its recognition and internalizing what these laws demand of it in the right way, such that it will fulfill its tasks. The task being that it's been able to perceive of these blessings that streams out of these radiations in creation and make use of it by passing it on also to others and assisting them in coming to self-consciousness. That is the task of the human personality, which is different from the tasks of the animal, which is not of spirit, which animals has no responsibilities as such, but in its activities is able to assist the striving human personality to achieve its goals.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this incredibly, let's say, big picture that you have shown us about human beings' responsibility and tasks and ability, and what a massive goal or task a human being has to, you could say, as you say, well, I'm going to try and summarize what you said. First of all, to realize and recognize these divine laws which are operating, and the source of them is the power, divine power, that is, bringing everything into being, including us, bringing this creation that we live in. Although we are one of the creatures, but our task is quite high, definitely in comparison to animals. As you said, they are meant to assist us in our working, and on this earth of, you say, receiving this power and directing it for the benefit of all. You can say all for one and one for all. And you also mentioned that as human beings, we are on this journey from to become conscious and then self-conscious, which is where we are maturing. In this journey, we are maturing, and the aim is to become mature human spirit. That's what the aim is. And benefiting others through our activity. That's, as I say, simply put, all for one and one for all. So yes, it's really a massive thing. And I think you started saying the first thing is to understand what are these divine laws, what what is expected, you can say. So we will continue that in a moment. I just want to let the listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushing. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message, or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'm going to spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic that we are discussing tonight is adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. Adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. And there, if you scroll down on the home page, you will see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments there. And as I mentioned, we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, live stream. That's actually for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. And of course, you can listen to recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, we've talked a lot about, you could say, the role of human beings who are spiritual beings or spirit, and so we know what is our role, or a summary of the role, what we are meant to be doing. Then the question is, many questions. What abilities do we have to fulfill this role? Yeah. What abilities do we have, Gregory, to fulfill this role? And just to say the task that we are supposed to be accountable, bringing, drawing, you could not drawing, receiving the divine power which is in creation and directing it for the benefit of everyone. I'm just saying it in a one-line statement there. But yes, Gregory, what are the us human abilities that we have been given, or maybe we are supposed to develop, to fulfill our task?
Actually, in your explanation, you already touched upon it. You said, you talked about that of responsibilities. Only those who have that intrinsic freedom of choice, only those who are endowed with the free will to make decisions, only those are accountable. You cannot hold someone who has no free choice of decisions accountable. Therefore, the human personality is only accountable when he or she exercises its freedom of choice, when it exercises its free will. Only then is the human personality accountable. Accountability in the sense of how it has exercised that free will. If it has exercised the free will such that it's able to perceive of these blessings, make use of these blessings, that is to bring itself benefits for greater recognitions, for greater maturity for itself, and also of benefit to others who, like him, are striving to become self-conscious, of others who may not be like him, just as you have the animals, and also the plants. So the animals and the plants are also others, and also the elements are also others. When you have that scenario where its activities, not only spiritual activities, but also activities in the personality, activities of the thoughts, and activities of deeds. Which deeds are, or which deeds can be perceived using the five senses? When these three categories of one's intuition, the category of one's thoughts, and the category of deeds, which deeds are perceivable using the five senses, that appertains to all, therefore one for all and all for one. only then does it swing aright. Else, the threads, the reciprocal activities which come through making decisions, these reciprocal activities could be such that these returns may form threads, which threads hold him or her down. That means it has to find a way now of releasing himself instead of these threads assisting him to mature to a greater extent. So one can already see the responsibilities which the human personality or the human spirit spark bears. Others that were mentioned are those that may not be human, like one mentioned, the animals, the plants, and there are other beings whose activities exist in creation, in nature, and working together with these beings, working harmoniously together, many structures can be maintained. Many new structures can also be devised. The radiation that arise from these new structures, which were not there before, will be such that it's of benefit, first spiritually, then to the thoughts of the personality, and also one is able to perceive physically. So the paths are clear cut. What is required is only a firm, good volition in accordance with these divine laws, which divine laws makes it clear that whoever receives must make use of it and pass it on to others, just as he himself or herself has received, so are others who are further away also in need of assistance, which assistance can be furnished by the human personality.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer. Gradually we are building up a picture, of the activity of the human beings, our task. When we started with this accountability that we have, the role we have of accountability, and then our task is to direct this power, divine power that we have received, that is sent into this creation, and then we receive it. And animals, not every creature even receives it, but our role is that we direct it. And so that's a special thing that we human beings have, and others do not have that. And so this makes it our responsibility to make sure once we receive something, we should pass it on. We must pass it on. So that makes sense. And then we talked about the abilities. And you mentioned there the intuition, and they have which works. Then we also have thoughts as human beings, and then we turn them into deeds. All this is turned into deeds. So that is some action that we are producing. And obviously, when you do make an action, there's going to be a result. And of course, what you're pointing to is, if you're, although we haven't said it directly, it's the direction that we take our actions will bring the result according to that. So it's like common sense. We know that would be the case. So the real big decision you can say of us human beings is to make sure we point the power that we receive in the right direction. Which goes back to what you said earlier, Gregory, about understanding these divine laws. There are these divine laws that through which we came into being, through everything that came into being, but we need to understand them, and then accordingly we can pass it on. To send whichever direction we choose. We need to know that that's the right direction for the benefit of all, and not harm. So I'm thinking there, these divine laws we need to understand, as we have said. So the question is, how do we understand them, Gregory? Or how do we find what are these divine laws?
We only understand something through basically experience. Only when we have experienced something to a large extent, if our spirit is awake, it will participate in that particular experience. Then the nature of the spirit is to keep investigating further, investigating all the aspects of that particular experience, be it pleasant or unpleasant, such that in due course we build structures within ourselves, which structures become what one may say the concepts that will enable us to move forward and upwards, or if not understood aright, will hold us back. So understanding is dependent on experiencing using our intuitions, experiencing using our thoughts, experiencing using our deeds. These three different categories, they have to harmonize. For only in that fashion can the toe or the towing and the throwing from the spirits to the outside, and from the outside back to the inside, that means back to the spirit, only in that way will maturity comes. The case can easily be realized or can be recognized in the case of music. Only when you have listened to a piece of music and internalized the joys and happiness that it brings, only then can you come to greater realization. Only then can you long further for such. If, however, an experience brings you not only difficulty, but weighs you down again and again, for many, they will find ways not to ensure that that experience is not repeated. Many a person will search for experiences which will bring them joy and happiness, which makes them feel lighter, which make them experience full participation, because it becomes firm deep within themselves, which experiences can be utilized here on earth whilst they still have use of the physical body, or hereafter. In that case, they have dropped the use of the physical body and have moved on. But the inner core takes these rich experiences for further maturity.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for your again your answer and detailed picture you're giving us. What I'm wondering, Gregory, we are many human beings on this earth, and each one is individual and makes their own decisions, and obviously they don't all harmonize. And what I'm wondering, if a majority of people direct their making decisions which are bringing harm, and the minority are the ones who are, let's say, are focusing on doing good, let's say, something like that. Does it mean that the majority one will rule in the end? I mean, that's what you normally see, that, well, it's hard to say, because people with a lot of resources, they seem to be, with money and so on, they seem to be, let's say, successful in their own way, and they may be the minority. And then the majority may be, working hard, but not earning so much. Their own, it's like, I'm just trying to form one question rather than ask 10 questions. So let me reflect before I go further. Yes. So let me go back to the original thing. So Gregory, if, let's say, a particular majority of people strive, you can say, in quotes, the wrong direction, which is not furthering and benefiting mankind, does it mean the minority has to suffer for that? The minority
Again,
who is striving for the good and benefit.
You yourself already mentioned it, that there's a majority, there's a minority. As we now know, everything must become new. New in the sense that in the past, things were just compared with others without having a firm framework. That which is good must be good in accordance with the laws of creation, through which the human personality incarnated or has existed or has started as a spirit seed germ, a spirit seed spark. It was only goodness that permitted it to come into existence at all. So that which is good must be good in accordance with these laws of creation, not in accordance with the thoughts of men that do not consider the whole thing. Many a time, what is considered are only the little after effects of men's deeds which are perceptible using the five senses. What lies behind these deeds are not considered. That means the thoughts that lies behind these deeds, the motive thoughts are not considered. The motive intuitions are not considered. Yet, seen from the outside, many a person will say, oh, it is good, the majority is this, the minority is that. If, and this is a big if, the spiritual intuitions resonate with the laws of creation, it will draw powers to pull it up. The same thing with the thoughts. If they resonate with the laws of creation, it will pull it up, the human personality. The same thing with the deeds. That is for each personality. The question was asked, those who make these statements, are they able to perceive of the thoughts, to perceive of the intuitions, to perceive of others, to perceive of many other things out there? Seen from a very narrow perspective of the deeds of men, it may turn out, or it may seem wrong. But seen from a higher point, where all aspects, all categories are considered, it is not bad at all. It is good. So, again and again, it is the laws of creation. Which laws of creation the human personality must strive to understand. Only then will it be in a position, first, to examine himself or herself, to find out whether its activities, that is, its intuitive activities, its activities in thoughts, and its activities in deeds, we pull it upwards to greater recognition, such that it's able to fulfill its tasks, which tasks have been granted him to fulfill, to enable it to know how it can be of blessing to creation as a whole. Only when it has got to that stage will it be assisted through the activities of others to have a broader picture. Most of the time, many don't reflect at all. They just make sweeping statements. And in that case, they, by their words, by their activities, incriminate themselves in accordance with the laws of creation, because they lack the right perspectives. Therefore, each person must strive with the best of intention, but only in accordance with the laws through which it itself came into existence.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this answer there. because I was wondering, happiness, is it only, let's say, a reward that we receive in heaven, or can we have it on earth? But what you're pointing to, we have to see the bigger picture, and when you have this bigger picture, what might appear to be suffering on the earth, it could even be a blessing to bring us to the joy and happiness that we are meant to, how we are meant to live in reality. So, as I say, it sounds contradictory, but the bigger picture brings these things clearer. What the real goals and happiness is meant to be. So we're going to continue to discuss this further in a moment, and I just want to let the listeners know that you're listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message, by Uprushing. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell it. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic for discussion tonight is adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. Adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. If you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. And if you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And as I mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space, live stream. That's for our live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to the recording of this show on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box. And sorry, the recording would be the next day. So go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1. Again, that's the number 1 there, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we're broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. Again, the number 1 there. Now, Gregory, we've been talking about these divine laws. Adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. And I don't think we've said it yet, but these divine laws are also known as the laws of nature. Um, so you could say, is when you say adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws, it's saying live naturally. I mean, all these are phrases, and people could interpret in their own way. But we are saying, adjust yourselves aright, not your what you think might be the answer according to the divine laws, but what is aright. So there's a question there, how to adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. So, which I said is also can be said are natural laws. So Gregory, I think it's a good idea that we actually know what are these divine laws or natural laws. Otherwise, it will come out as almost a theoretical idea, like I say, because everybody might have their own idea what is a natural law. So, can you help us there, Gregory? What are these divine laws or natural laws?
Well, thanks for that particular question. What any personality can never ever deny is that all activities, whether it be activities which are perceptible using the five senses, or activities that we regard as thoughts, or activities that we regard as our intuitions, all these activities are in motion. That in itself is a fact. Therefore, when the laws of nature, all the laws of creation, which we also consider to be the divine laws, are mentioned, these themselves are laws of motion. For nature is in motion, creation itself is in motion, divinity itself is in motion. Therefore, as a matter of fact, it is motion which is a law, not only in divinity, but also in creation, also in nature. The diverse elements, the diverse substances belonging to different structures, belonging to different categories, be it in language, whatever we care to call them, they are all in motion. With that fact, which each personality must convince themselves with, one may then move forward and assert clearly, not theoretically, because it is a fact that even in the communication which we are all engaged in is a communication in motion. It's a language in motion. Motion itself, there are two basic types. That motion in which the end of the motion flows back to the beginning, and the other type in which the end of the motion does not flow back to the beginning. That's basically it. It's not complicated. With that in which the end flows back to the beginning, the different features which belong to it, or the different ways one can say it, one may also say that is a reciprocal activity. That being a reciprocal activity, that is one feature, which is also a fact, that in motion, in which the end flows back to the beginning, that is a reciprocal activity. This reciprocal activity can also be considered within a specific category or within a species. That the end flows back to the beginning clearly shows there must have been an attraction. That is why the end is flowing back to the beginning. That feature in which the end flows back to the beginning, that feature of attractiveness may also be termed the attraction of homogeneity. That attraction of homogeneity is a fact, always there. Therefore, one has the law of attraction of homogeneity within a species. So, from one basic observation, from one basic law of motion, two features have already arisen. That of a reciprocal activity and that of attraction of homogeneity. These are facts. It is the task of the human personality to investigate further in all his activities, in using all the potential he has, all the abilities he has, the abilities of the thoughts, which is in motion itself, the abilities of one's intuition, which is also in motion. Only when the inner person, when the person engages in vigilance, in alertness, when engages in its investigation, only then will paths, or only then will he or she be drawn along paths where they must experience and gain knowledge and gain firmness. Firmness in thoughts, firmness in spirit. One had already discussed where the end flows back to the beginning. The other basic one is where the end does not flow back to the beginning. In that particular scenario, it can easily be seen that that which is denser moves away because it is denser. It has cooled down. And this is what many in their observations have called the law of gravitation. This law has always been there from the beginning of creation, which law also ensures that that which is lighter stays on top and that which is denser sinks. These are the laws, or the three basic laws, the laws of reciprocal activity, the law of the attraction of homogeneity, and that's of gravitation, whether one calls it spiritual gravitation or gravitation in the world of matter or not in the world of matter, gravitation remains the same. Therefore, these very simple laws are what regulates motion, are intrinsic to motion, are motion itself. Therefore, they are of the law. What the sciences strive to understand are the much, much further after effects of these phenomena. That's what the sciences try to engage. The sciences concern themselves only with activities which do not have the free will to decide, which having observed the nature of particles, but not of the will of men, nor of the thoughts of men, nor of the intuitions of men, nor of the blessings, the radiations that stream from divinity into creation, into the different spiritual spheres, right down to the animistic sphere, and then into the world of matter, which has different gradations. The sciences only concern themselves with the after effects of these observations, albeit only here in that which is very dense in gross matter. That means in the world of matter, which is so dense and therefore are perceptible using the five senses of man or tools which also enhance it to observe. So therein lies the laws of nature or the laws of creation, which intrinsically are also the divine laws. You're on mute, Faruqi.
Sorry, I was on mute, as you said, Gregory. So basically, thank you for this detailed picture of the laws of nature, the divine laws, how they work. And what I was wondering or thinking, that you mentioned also about science there, so we already talked about human beings being spiritual and having accountability, for the massive task of, you could say, working on this earth, with all the creatures and plants and so on, to benefit of all. That's the task. And we're using their abilities, which we have said is the intuition, thoughts, and deeds. That's activity, let's say. And so to work with the laws of nature. And what I'm thinking now, Gregory, every human being is a different, different capability, you can say. We might have all the same, parts of the body, ears, nose, the senses, and this intuition. but each one is different in how their ability, how they apply it, and how far they develop. You know, people say, fulfill your potential. This is what we are told we should be working on now, or So, um, and what I'm thinking, um, and also, Gregory, we talk about happiness and peace, and what I'm thinking about, Gregory, there's the earth, material world that we live on, and then there's this task of becoming spiritually mature as well, you know. So it's like a multiple levels that we need to develop ourselves. And what I'm thinking, Gregory, with the science, we have managed to bring in, technology to make our life easier, you can say, with mass production. At the same time, there are some harmful effects. Yes, we can have more food. It seems, Gregory, there's always, I don't know if I want to say there's a balance. When you do produce something good, you also produce something bad as a, I don't know, counterbalance. I don't know how to put it. What I want to ask you there, Gregory, does everything we do is meant to have only benefit, or by default you always will get a disbenefit? Just because we made something, it seems that there is a byproduct which is, let's say, harmful or negative. So can you tell us or clarify, is it we are not working with the laws or divine laws correctly, right, as we say, when we produce these, in quotes, harmful side effects or disbenefit, when we try to produce something good, which is for health technology, let's say, or is that like automatically this way that it always will be, that you produce something and there's like a side effect which is a negative one? Or can we make something that is always benefit in every respect? And if so, what is it? Where are we going wrong?
Again, the assumption has always been one-sidedness in considering that when we say something is good, automatically it conforms to the laws of creation, whereas that which conforms to the laws of creation or the laws of nature is holistic. Holistic in the sense that the intuition, the thoughts, and the deeds, they all resonate, not one-sided. When that which is good is created or is formed, that which is good in accordance with the laws of nature, it must bring benefit to the whole. Not that it will produce so much side effects which tend to destroy the others. So therein lies the problem. It's a problem of one-sidedness. For if the whole is concerned, then the products of the parts must also be beneficial. A simple example which we have is that of plastics. In the sciences, so-called, or technology, whatever I care to call it, you find plastics have been produced. They have been produced, and these plastics do not decay on time. Some of them may spend thousands of years, or who knows, and they then become pollution everywhere. Of course, the need is there to have containers. But should we not have in our activities, look at the way nature provides things such that when we also put our design into practical activities, it will be such that our products will also decay in good time and not become a hazard. So you find these things again and again, and then subsequently many just accept it. Say, well, it's one of the problems. The same thing goes with the nuclear energy, where because of the design, the way things have been put together, the decay of the byproducts or the spent fuel or nuclear fuel, which now have to be stored underground, may take thousands and thousands of years. It means those areas become radioactive. It means no people should not live in that area. So you find there has been one-sidedness in these matters in terms of research. Whereas it is possible in one's activities to search for ways to ensure that whatever we have brought into existence, which was not there initially, through our designs, resonate in such a way that it will not be there for such a long time as to become a hazard to the human personality. Only those who search diligently and are able to observe will find a way. Else, now, with the case of the plastic, one can already see where things are leading to. And people have been speaking against it and said, this is not right. Right? It means, whereas with paper will break down before long, and then we can even recycle it. So there are so many possibilities. But because we haven't paid enough attention to these things, these products remain in the atmosphere, remain for quite some time. One can see the way plants, the way nature works. Of course, we being part, or our physical body being part of nature, nature through plants also release oxygen, which oxygen we make use of, and we then produce carbon dioxide, which is absorbed by the plant to produce food and things of that nature. So you could see the cycle being repeated. But it is man in his lack of knowledge or in his one-sidedness who will produce something without caring until the impact now falls back, as in the case of climate change, which some still deny and say it has no effect and they won't wish to live the way they wish to live. So that's the way in which many wish to live the way they wish to live. That gross irresponsibility is not in accordance with the laws of nature, which nature granted the human personality the freedom to make decisions and yet are responsible for what they themselves have brought into creation. If what they have forged together is of benefit to the whole, then everyone benefits, not only humans, but also others. Else, it may be to a very narrow aspect, beneficial to humans, but is toxic to the whole, that's become a Pyrrhic victory for the human being. A victory which is worse than defeat.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for this answer. Could I put a little extra question in response to what you said there? Could it be that we human beings have become overpopulated on this earth, and which means we have a greater demand than what nature can provide, and so we now producing these processes and products in mass production, basically, which is producing a lot of waste, which is not, let's say, in harmony with nature's ways. And so we're causing this destructive effect, because you could say our initial problem is that we are too many. And I'm not saying we should now start killing human beings to solve this problem, but could it be that we went astray, much earlier, and the earth cannot, how can I say, we cannot live naturally with this number of humans that we are here? Could that be a possibility, a reason for these problems?
One may consider it so, but that may not be right. Why? Because you must ask yourself, look at the amount of resources which are wasted on a daily basis. The so-called supermarkets, have we ever considered the amount of food which are wasted on a daily basis? They would not permit these resources, food resources, to be shared with others because they want profit. Again, a one-sidedness. And they now say, oh, because we are so many, we need to do this. Before, when it comes to the sort of fertilizers which were used for farming, now there have been changes to say there are better ways of farming. If one has not examined deeply enough, the possibility is that with minimal efforts, we say, well, we cannot do better than this. There are enough resources to feed the population. Go to different countries and see what they do. There is enough soil that can be cultivated in the population without considering overpopulation. But no, that is not. Look at the deserts. They are being utilized for farming. All that is needed there is to reorganize it in such a way that it can be used for farming. So bringing in overpopulation as considered by the human personality, that will not be a strong point. Everything is just mentioned, oh, overpopulation, that's what we do. That is only the reason which people wish to use to justify what they do. Have they ever justified why so much food is wasted along the line? There's no justification. Ask the so-called supermarket to make available that which they throw away on a daily basis, and then you will find that everyone can be fed and fed properly. There are smarter ways of doing this rather than finding excuses for distortions. Those who claim overpopulation, they can easily take care of that by removing themselves from the equation. Were they to do that, there will be one less personality to complain about. So many refer to overpopulation when they consider themselves to be better than others and they have an advantage. Let no one point the finger at another in this scenario, for each personality has incarnated on earth in order to experience as best as it could and use these experiences when it has left the flesh. That is why we all are here. Not to start pointing fingers at others and say, oh, there is overpopulation. If there is, the human personality has the free will to first remove themselves and to account to one who granted them the opportunity to experience. Just as the love and the will and the power granted the human personality the opportunity to experience, to mature, so has it granted also to others.
Thank you so much for that, Gregory. I won't ask this as a question. I'll just say that we know in certain countries there's a trend of the population going down. And even with this climate change, some people are saying, I don't want to have children because the world they're going to come into is not good for them. So I don't say we have to discuss on every point here, but it's just you can see it's like our decisions. What our decisions are produce the future that we live in. So thank you for that. I just want to tell the listeners that this is Bless Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. Adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Also, you can contact us on the website where we are broadcasting, that is Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the home page, you will see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And as I say, we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and then type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space, live stream. That's for the live show on Tuesday evenings, which is 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. You can also listen to the recording of the show the next day on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, number 1 again, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is adjust yourselves a right to the divine laws. And of course, you can listen to our recordings of the previous shows again on YouTube. Thirdly, you can listen to us on Zeno. That's ZENO.fm/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, we talked a lot about earthly activities, but then we are meant to be spirit, human beings, a spirit. So there must be some spiritual activity. Well, we have mentioned them, but what I was wondering, we're living on this earth, and let's say the focus of most or majority of human being is materialistic. You know, whatever that materialism is manifesting, money, power, whatever the thing is. Okay, and then, but we have already said the way we are meant to live in accordance with the divine laws is to benefit all. You know, which means there should be some, you could say, moral code, or yeah, I'll just say moral code, morality. Now, this normally people learn from their family or religion, or even society maybe, I don't know if that is so, but many people have, you could say, in the world, they have turned away from religion, and they just want to, how can I say, be free thinking and free minded, which doesn't sound bad at all. But then one wonders, as I said before, Gregory, people can sort of, in quotes, make up their own ways, and but that may not accord with the, let's say, spiritual reality of life, which is for, you know, being in line with divine laws, you know, or understanding the divine laws. So I'm thinking, and we haven't mentioned so much this today, but we do all have free will. So each one can make a decision to go one way, another one a different way. And so I'm wondering, Gregory, if we think about the future of humanity, or maybe we think of each individual person's future, is it, how can I say, do we have to, Gregory, sort of have a sort of moral education or spiritual education to sort of come to the realization of, you know, living for all for one and one for all? So is there some way, yeah, do we have to have that somehow? That's what I'm wondering.
You are advocating some form of education?
Well, we go to the school and they give us the teaching to how to sort of speak in our language and learn maths and so on. So you can say you have some help in your life, for your future. And I'm thinking, if we, I don't know, if I'm just asking actually, should it be an education there for our spiritual, you could say, future progress, or is it for each person to discover himself, you know, the path for their, yeah, you know, to know of the divine laws, or is yeah. So is it because some things it seems we are told, and others we discover, and I'm just wondering what is the path for in terms of our spiritual education.
Actually, it is intrinsic. Every human personality here on earth breathes in and breathes out. There was no need to go to any school to learn that. Every human personality here on earth knows that to continue to use the physical body, it needs to replenish, all right, the resources. It needs air, it needs water, it needs food, and there's also waste elimination. No school is necessary for that. On a local level, many a person already realizes that. What has not been realized as such is these same rules, these same laws, which intrinsically applies to the little things like breathing, like food intake and waste elimination, and how it goes round the cycle. Some of these things have not been considered aright. Had they been considered with all seriousness, then it would have been a form of knowledge which the personality takes along. Some even have doubts whether they have a free will, and yet they still make decisions, but they never considered in making those decisions that is an exercise of the free will. Some even have doubts if they have any intuition. That immediately tells you that the paths between one's thoughts and the spirit, that path has been clogged by doubts, have been clogged with so many extraneous things. So the communication between the human spirit or the spirit spark and one's thoughts is highly restricted or minimized. Therefore, it becomes very difficult. It is the spirit that needs the right moral standing, the right education through experiencing. It is the spirit that counts. All other, even one's thoughts and the physical body that one uses, are only tools that the spirit is supposed to use to gather these experiences. The impressions of the spirit streams through the solar plexus to the back brain and subsequently to the frontal brain if it is not restricted. And then the human personality in flesh and blood carries out some activities. That is from the spirit outwards. From outwards back to the spirit to complete its cycle. These activities, outward activities, the impression strikes the human thoughts, which human thoughts, if it permits, now strikes the back brain, and from the back brain through again to the solar plexus, back to the spirit. Only through this way, unimpeded, can the spirit then mature, else it will not mature. The question one is asking now, do we need a school for it? No and yes. What is a school? A forum where these may be discussed, where experiences can be shared. Do we need to call this discussion of ours a school? Because the school, the form it takes nowadays is that you go and learn something, you learn the language, they give you an exam, all right, you may pass or you may fail and things of that. Life itself is the school where you need to exert yourself spiritually, in thoughts and in deeds. Only when things are viewed aright, only when these laws of nature, divine laws, are viewed aright, only then can they be of benefit, because the human personality will now adjust to it. That is the title of the topic which we are engaged in. And that is why discussions like this are of benefit. More of how the human personality may absorb of this type of discussion, more can be found in the work, which work is in the light of truth, which work talks or discusses what light is, what truth is, which truths and light pulsates from the beginning of creation, from a point in creation, and subsequently percolates down to where we are here on earth, to all parts of the universe, spiritual universe, non-spiritual universe, where human personalities experience. Only the complete knowledge may now liberate the human personality and permit it to come to self-consciousness. So it is holistic. It is there. It now depends how bold the human personality is in making use of what has been passed on to it, be it in writing, in words, in intuition, in thoughts, or in deeds.
Thanks, Gregory, for that, I could say, comprehensive answer. While I was asking you the question and you were answering it, a listener contacted us and he's given, let me say, quite some comments, and I will just read it all out now. Divine laws are laws passed down to creation by the divine beings, or rather divinity. Divine laws bestowed upon creation by exalted divine beings are immutable principles governing the cosmos. They weave through the fabric of existence, maintaining harmony and justice. These sacred laws are not human constructs, but eternal truths, reflecting the will of divinity, guiding souls towards spiritual enlightenment and an alignment with the divine order. Examples of such laws is the law of love and the law of justice. Law of love reflected in Jesus' words, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength." The second is this, "You shall love your neighbor as yourself." This is a reference that can be found in the Bible, Mark chapter 12, verse 30 to 31. Aligning with divine laws brings about the adherence to divine will. By so doing, mankind can finally swing into the luminous heights, the paradise of the Spirit. So this, I thank the listener for these points or comments they have put forward. So thank you. Gregory, we have come almost to the end of the show. I don't know if you wanted to say anything on this.
No, because there's many things you still have to read.
Exactly. So thank you for that. I do want to share with the listeners the topic for tonight, which said, adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws, it comes from a quote, or let's say, uh, I have reworded the actual quote in the Grail Message, um, which is in the lecture, consider what is of benefit to you. So I would like to read that quote. Try, first of all, to adjust yourselves aright, in the earthly sense, to the vibrations of the divine laws, which you can never circumvent without bringing great harm upon yourselves and upon your surroundings. And also make your laws accordingly. Let them arise from this. Then you will quickly have that peace and happiness which furthers the upbuilding for which you long so much. For without this, all effort is utterly in vain, and even the greatest ability of the most skilled intellect is useless and brings ill success. It lies with you alone, with each individual, not as you so much like to delude yourselves, always with the others. Try it with yourselves first of all. I'm going to stop there. So that is the quote from the Grail Message in the lecture, consider what is of benefit to you. And I'm going to now end with a reading, which I like to do at the end of each show, which is titled, from the beginning of the Grail Message, the foreword, which is titled, For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I'm addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing that talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you are truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Apushin. And listeners, if you want to get more information on the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, message, message.com. Hope you've enjoyed the show, listeners. on the topic of adjust yourselves aright to the divine laws. Now, Gregory, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing all listeners a beautiful week.
Thank you. Same from me, listeners. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time with another topic. Have a great week. Good night.